Welcome back to Let's Have It Out with Sexwale. But before we continue, let me just read a couple of comments from Facebook. Deboho Mahloko says, I really didn't care, minus one problem, and that's to the question of Pik Botha dying. Herman Berger says, only savages celebrate the death of a fellow human being. Okay, savages and racists. Okay. Why must we feel sad for Pik Botha's death? This has nothing to do with racism. The man killed and hurt a lot of people in the apartheid era. And this is from Bra Mahonashe, who's responding to the previous person on Facebook. Pule, just back to you again. Yes. You mentioned the sunset clauses as we went to an ad break, and I was, and I said I'll give you an opportunity to speak to that issue as well, because that's another bone of contention that I have, and many others who felt it was beyond their control at the time of our freedom to be part of that discussion and to give concessions such as land and many others as well. We don't know what these people, well, I don't know what these people went hiding into their graves, or those who are dying. That's the only regret I have about their deaths, is that they're taking secrets with them. What are the sunset clauses?
Well, one of the things that was a product of the sunset clause was the establishment of a government of national unity. You'd have to understand that here we are having to sit on the flanges of establishing a government for the first time. And we had to make sure that there is seamless transition in that. That's why the first CODESA talks collapsed. In the second CODESA talks that President Ramaphosa at the time led together with Roof Mayor, there had to be certain critical undertakings, and the three undertakings that were made was that release more political prisoners, deal with the carrying of traditional weapons, build fences around your hostels, and then with the sunset clause, what then came was that facilitate elections with a view of establishing a government that will be a representative of the voices of South Africa as a whole. And what happened at that point? We had de Klerk as the second vice president at the time, and you still had Pik Botha, amongst others, being a minister of minerals and energy at the time. But what this did is that because there was no longer relevance for the Nationalist Party government, for the Nationalist Party to continue to exist, we saw in 1997 the Nationalist Party now collapsing on its own. What did we do? Because the ANC has got a greater responsibility, unlike any other party, to lead the people of this country. Make sure that we unite them. I mean, we pride ourselves as being a leader of society. And we believe that the kind of things that anchor the national democratic revolution, which is non-racialism, a country that is free for all, that is united and all of that, we brought together the people of this country.
Okay. You're still not quite addressing the issues of whether we gave a little bit too much, but before I grill you a bit more on that, we have a caller on the line. His name is Jolie from Lenasia. Hi, Jolie.
Hi, Kay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Good evening to Pule as well.
Evening, Jolie.
Well, my point, Kay and Pule, is that we share your sentiments. Your pain is a pain we share. Some of us have got scars that we can show to our children today, scars that we got in the fight against apartheid. But many of us, if we were to live and dwell on the atrocities of the apartheid regime, will not be able to lead the project of reconciliation and nation building. So we would implore people like UK to be really champions of reconciliation and the project of nation building, so that we build a better future for our children. We can use our experiences to teach our children of the things that apartheid did to us, so that we can empower them not to fall into the trap of behaving like the apartheid regime machinery. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jolie, for that call. Pule, Jolie's saying something that I think is really important, in that we need to also be forward-thinking or forward-looking. I don't necessarily think we should forget about our past, as a lot of people, the very same people that I bemoan disrespect this freedom, always tell us to do. Forget the past, move forward, etc., is what we often hear. And that's just not taking us anywhere. But it's the same, and I want to say this as crudely as possible, because I think that's the point that I need to make to you and to Jolie as well.
Yes.
That for you to issue a statement of sadness over the death of an apartheid tormentor of our people is the same thing as the Jewish state issuing a statement of sadness, for instance, on the death of a Nazi minister or ex-minister. I put that to you.
Well, and I must welcome the sentiments echoed by Jolie from Lenesia, that ours has always been about nation building. We are not going to sit here to try and airwash. I learned a new term today, airwash. We're not going to sit here and airwash the past. But we are going to use some of those past experiences to be able to construct a South Africa where we want our children to coexist regardless of the colors of their skin. One thing that we must teach our children is to love one another, whether they are black or white. It doesn't matter. Because the constitution of this country, for us to be able to take it to fruition, requires that we live and coexist together as one. This is the vision that a man who was jailed for 27 years lived us with. President Mandela did not come back and say, because I was jailed for 27 years, I'm going to teach them a lesson. There is a lot that we can learn from the generation of Mandela, of Tata Sisulu, of Tata O.R. Tambo, and many others. It is them who took to the streets in 1955 and agreed to adopt that freedom charter, because they understood that a better South Africa can be one that is constructed behind the desires of the entirety of the people of this country.
Okay, 1950 South Africa was very different from 2018 South Africa,
agreed.
At the time of the Freedom Charter being adopted. But interestingly enough, at that particular point in time, it was the time when Nelson Mandela was the most militant, and where he would have actually disagreed with his future self. He would have been in that space that I currently find myself in some ways, not completely. But it's quite interesting that you invoke him at that particular point in time when he was really militant and really felt that it's unacceptable to accept the oppression of our people in any shape or form.
Well, I'm doing so because I wanted to land on some of the critical pillars that really defined our struggle in the early 80s, which was about mass mobilization, was about the underground, because you would know that at that time the ANC was a banned organization. It was about international solidarity. So we're doing quite a lot of things. We're doing mass work, which was about organizing our people, whether it was through the trade union movement, making sure that you have got a strong, but again, it was the other fourth pillar was the armed struggle. Because the armed struggle was also quite important at the time, because we needed to make sure that we protect our people. So there were struggles that were taking place in the country, and there were those that were taking place outside the shores of the Republic. It was in Lesotho where you were, and many other parts of Africa and the diaspora. But even with that, we still understood that, just from when 1989, with the Ready to Govern, there was an understanding that the only way that we could be able to facilitate proper governance and proper transition in this country is to be able to bring together our former oppressors, work with them, acquire the kind of experience that they might have amassed, make sure that we use that to construct a country that we can all be proud of.
Okay,
we are not in any way sugarcoating the past.
Let me just disturb you there, but let's take a call from Emmanuel in Durban. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Hi, Emmanuel. You're on air.
Yeah, I'm on air, my dear. I can't leave this program because I want to come, please. I'm still on the air, please, my dear.
Emmanuel from Durban.
Yeah.
Do you have any comment to make?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, I don't think we're getting through to Emmanuel there. Pule, I think there's a problem with the line there. But as you were saying, previously, a lot of people understand exactly what you're saying. I get it. A lot of people get it. But there's still the emotion involved. You can get something intellectually, but emotionally, there's still always going to be a tie to what people agree to as policy, etc. What I like about the organization that you and I belong to is that it's very robust. We don't always have to agree with each other.
Yes.
And we challenge each other on views and that sort of thing. MEC Panyaza Lesufi, last week at the time
Yes.
that Pik Botha died, took the same tone as I did as well. Celebrity, but at the same time very annoyed at
Yes.
the fact that here we are as an organization moaning, about somebody who has died that used to be our oppressor. I just find that difficult to compute, but I'll give you an opportunity to really go through your thoughts exactly on this just after this break.